Welcome to Madden Science. Welcome to our AP Biology class guidelines. This year we are studying life, all its beauty and grandeur and mystery. We can look to Wordsworth who said, "Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher." As we go through these guidelines, it might help if you had your copy alongside of you. We're going to start in here. One thing to note is that plenty of these links in here are hyperlinks. So you can kind of zoom in and see that there's a link to the AP Biology curriculum, a student page, and then all of our class information, like our calendars and our Google Drive. One thing to note is that the AP curriculum has been adjusted and changed a few years ago. The idea, as you can see here in this book, even focusing in kind of on their framework introduction on page 14, is that there's a major emphasis on depth over breadth. The focus in class and for our framework is going to be on thinking skills, how to act and work and practice like a biologist, how to focus on inquiry, questioning, and reasoning. Here are a few examples of some of those learning objectives as the course looks to focus not so much on just content, but overarching understanding and learning targets and those essential knowledge. What we want to do in class is focus not so much on what to know, but the how to know, how to learn, and even how to see. Emphasis will be on constructing our own knowledge, not just on instruction. For that, we can look at scaffolding and building on the ideas and our learnings of previous years. And who better to look to than the master of scaffolding, Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid.
Concentrate. Look at my eye. Wax on. Hat. Wax off. Hat. Show me wax on. Wax off. Stop!
In working on our biological understanding, lab will be of greatest importance. The labs will largely be focused on inquiry, meaning that we will be balancing method and content, autonomy and structure, and inquiry and procedure. The kids will have lots of freedom, lots of ability to figure it out, following in the footsteps of my heroes for figuring out MacGyver. The course itself is now focused around 4 big ideas.
I wonder what's the big idea?
And the roadmap which will get us here, as seen in our book, can be seen with first big idea number 1, as we look more closely at evolution, breaking up the unit for each quarter of the year, biochemistry and evolution for the first quarter. Big idea 2,
What's the big idea?
looking at bioenergetics, which is going to pull apart cells, metabolism, and then we'll take another look at cells and cellular communication. Big idea 3
What's the big idea?
looks at information and genetics, starting with Mendelian genetics and then moving to molecular genetics. And big idea 4
What's the big idea, egghead?
looks at interactions and ecology. You can also find on a link within our guidelines our year-long calendar, color-coded based on big idea, and showing each chapter that we're covering each day. The themes of biology are shown here, and these are used throughout the year. Each chapter will kind of highlight 1, 2, or possibly 3 as we go through. Now, the underlying overall theme that will be running as a current throughout the whole year is evolution. As Theodosius Dobzhansky said, nothing makes sense in biology except in light of evolution. We'll focus also on the process. How it is that we can be biologists. Science as a process, seen here with Jane Goodall. It's Albert Einstein who said the formulation of the problem is often more essential than its solution. Or Abe Lincoln, who might have said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe." We'll be sharpening our axe all year in preparation for our exam, which is on May 8th, 2017. Here's another link from our guidelines. It details some of the overviews of the course for AP Biology, the expectations, the style, the framework, along with some examples on how the exam will work. Now let's dive into our policies. You can follow these also on our guideline sheet. On page 2, you'll notice that they follow along the acronym RESPECT, starting with responsibility. It is a student's responsibility to make sure that they are prepared each day. Homework will be assigned nightly. There is no late homework. Now, the exception to that is that students will be given homework passes. So they get 2 late homework passes per semester, and they'll get 1 free homework pass. When students miss a class, it's their responsibility to come and talk to me, make sure they've made up what was done in class that day, along with any missed quizzes or assignments or tests. Number 2, we're looking at effort. In this class, the 2 most important things are your heart, okay? How much you love and are interested in biology, right? So that love of the game. And then how willing you are to work hard in this class. All we ask here is that you give us your heart. For school rules, we're definitely going to want to follow and pay attention to the school handbook. We're also going to pay particular attention to electronic. What's that? Oh. So definitely no phones in class. It doesn't matter what kind of phone you have. We're not using them unless at certain times we'll use a phone as a laboratory instrument because they can be pretty darn handy in lab context. We need to be prepared, and that means both mentally prepared as we show up to class and prepared with our homework, possibly our book in class, and any other materials. Preparation also involves being encouraging. So encouragement to oneself, to each other, and the teacher. Next is curiosity. Francis Bacon said it well, truth will sooner come out of error than from confusion. And that half of science is putting forth the right questions. This course is rooted in curiosity. It's an inquiry-based class. So both in class and outside of class, you're expected to ask lots of good questions. Please note that extra help is available before and after school and during lunches. The design of the class is one where the kids are given plenty of freedom to explore and have fun. Maybe looking at something like 20% of the time we're locked down tight, 80% of the time the kids have the ability to be curious and inquire about what it is we're doing and the labs that we're on. Finally, T in RESPECT stands for teamwork. Certainly we're most focused in lab and in classroom setup for the students to be working together, so that's student to student. But the teamwork goes beyond that, from student to teacher, student to parent, and also parent to teacher. Communication is vital. It's super important for us, and that includes feedback. So feedback from the teacher to the student that is honest, timely, and constructive. But also feedback from the students and student to student, particularly when grading each other on essays and free response questions. I want to make sure that the entire course is transparent. So a big focus on transparency. Students and teachers and kids should know what's going on in class at all times. And of course, if there ever are any issues and concern, we look back to our interactions here and make sure that the student has approached and spoken to the teacher first, and then the student with the parent, and then finally parent with the teacher. And as always, as we've got on our guidelines, feel free to contact me with any thoughts or feedback or specific things I should know. Let's take a look at our class flow. How is it that class is designed? What's the pattern? What is its flow? We'll start with arrival. A is for arrival. Getting into class and being present, physically and mentally. We'll then see a whole list of things that include our bell ringer, as the kids are designed and supposed to be working on that as they get into class. Writing questions on the board. A student will be in charge of producing the news and telling a joke of the day. I'll be taking attendance, and then we will be going through homework, making sure that that is crystal clear, both the previous night's homework and the homework for that particular day. So again, one kid is in charge of the news and the joke, and then our what's going on. And the idea of our flow is to hone in on a process. So we've got a classroom process, we've got laboratory process, overall biology process. It's important that you can only know where you are if you know where you've come from. And so with that, we'll be focusing on transfer of knowledge from classroom to laboratory to homework to outside of class, and that goes both directions. The object of the goal is to be connecting within our knowledge and what we're learning. Here's a picture of the connectome within a cell. Part of that comes with our daily news that a kid will bring in that is topical related. And again, our joke, here's the old harpoon gang or gag. Onto our calendar for class. You've got access to this via Google Drive and Excel. So there's a daily calendar that highlights everything that we do in class and everything that's for homework. And sometimes that'll even include Skyping with world-renowned scientists. The end of class will see us check out, where kids will self-assess their technique, effort, attitude, and mental discipline. Remember that our guidelines have links for you to gain access to our Google Drive. A few last nuts and bolts. Here within our guidelines, we've got a required text, we have a breakdown of our semester grading, and also has a step-by-step disciplinary action depending on the infraction. At the end of our guidelines, there's a section that asks you to sign it for the student and parent, and make sure that you've watched this video and offer any comments that you might have. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to an amazing year. Take care.